Hey everybody, it's me, Stacey, licensed designer for Sizzix, Jacquard, Couture Creations, brand ambassador for Royal Talens, and owner of Scrapbooking Made Simple. And welcome to today's In the Studio with Stacey. I'm Stacey. This is my makeshift studio. If you saw what it really looked like, you would see it's really not a studio at all, but shh. Don't tell anybody. Now, if you are joining me for the first time, hey, I'm Stacey, and I do a whole bunch of stuff designing, and I own a retail store and an online store, and like I said, a brand ambassador for Royal Talens. And every Tuesday, we are here with a class where we mix fine art quality product with paper crafting product. And we try to make magic happen between them because really, it's all coming out of the same creativity. We all want to enjoy our hobby and learn something new and feel successful when we're doing it. So we've blended in fine art here because really fine art talks to the quality of the product, not the talent of the person. And I'm the first one to say that because I am not an artist. I'm a maker, and I'm proud to be a maker, and I make lots of things and I play with lots of things, but I don't have an art background, and yet I want to use quality product that is going to achieve better results because I'm using that quality product. And that's really where Royal Talens comes in. So on Tuesdays, we play with different paints and inks, and this month it's soft pastels. Every month I choose one type of product to play with, and we use it for the entire month. All the Tuesdays we use that same product over and over again, but with different techniques and different applications and different results. And so January is when we started the In the Studio with Stacey classes, and I selected Ecoline markers, watercolor markers from Royal Talens. And wow, those are super popular. I did all of January classes with Ecoline markers, but as I grew to understand them and know them and learn about them and play with them more, they have worked their way into other classes at other times. In February, we were using Amsterdam acrylic paints. And what is an acrylic paint? And why would you want an acrylic paint? And how do you use an acrylic paint? And so the entire month of February, that's what I taught. The who's, the what's, the why's, the why nots on Amsterdam acrylic paints, all blending it in with products from Sizzix and Jacquard. In March, we used Van Gogh watercolors, which are swoon worthy. I mean, they really are absolutely stunning for watercolor. They're not the top of the line. That's an elite brand, but Van Goghs play right there with the elite brand for artists. And yet the pricing is affordable, but the quality is so much higher because it's coming from Royal Talens, a fine art company. And April, we've been playing with Rembrandt soft pastels. Now the Rembrandt line is the elite line. It is the top of the line. And yet these soft pastels are so useful and innovative. I had no idea when I first started studying about this product. And I take classes. I'm mentored by Jeff at Royal Talens. I have to go through training. That's part of being a brand ambassador is knowing and understanding and then conveying that to you. And I've taken such joy and such pride in doing this with Royal Talens and with Sizzix and with Jacquard, really launching us into a different type of creativity and showing you that fine art product isn't something that you should shy away from. It's something we want to lean into because we're looking for that new opportunity to branch out. And yet the pricing can really just be incredible. And that's what it is on these soft pastels, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Now in March, we did play with the Van Gogh watercolors, and surprise, surprise, they're back today. But you said, Stacey, you pick one product and you use that product for the entire month. All the Tuesday classes. I do. And April is Rembrandt soft pastels. But I'm going to incorporate them with Van Gogh watercolor. And you're like, but wait a minute, soft pastels, watercolor? I don't get it. I don't understand it. Why? You got watercolor and pastels, two different things. But are they? When we talk about a soft pastel, first off, we are doing the half sticks. And these are not the type of soft pastel that crumbles in your hands. In fact, I've dropped these and they haven't broken. Soft pastels are like holding pure pigment in your hand. It's the closest thing you can get to pure pigment in your hand. But what's watercolor made of? Well, our Van Gogh watercolors have an incredibly high level of pigment and then a binder added to it. So when you lay it down on your paper, your canvas, your whatever, your mixed media, whatever you're working with, it doesn't just wipe away. That's important. So you do have two different types of products, and yet the fundamental elements of them are very, very similar. Yes. Now, watercolor is kept almost transparent. We want our watercolors to have that transparent look and feel. And I'm not a watercolorist, and if you are looking to make the most beautiful leaves and flowers, I am not your girl. I'm here to talk to you about the product and how it works, the fundamentals of the product. And once you understand that, there are oodles of amazing teachers who can show you just how to do that perfect leaf. Now, I might get there over the course of this year, but today it's about how products work and why they work and how they work and what to do with them, and sometimes more importantly, what not to do with them. So soft pastels, again, like holding pure pigment in your hands. Watercolor, highly pigmented with a binder. So how would these two work together? Well, that's what we're going to explore today, because we've done some pretty amazing things with pastels. I've swatched them out for you. I've shown how you can use a paper stubby to work them into your beautiful papers, whether you're using a mixed media paper from Van Gogh, a watercolor paper, just regular 100-pound, 110-pound cardstock. We've gotten our soft pastels wet and we've painted with them. We've done wet and dry at the same time. We've really taken the soft pastel, and what I thought they were and what they are completely different. And I'm the first person to say I was wrong. I need soft pastels in my life. We've been using them with baby wipes. The things we've been able to achieve are just amazing. So when I say about the pricing, the soft pastels are around $11 for a 5-stick color family, which I'm thinking, but these are Rembrandt. These are high end. Yes, they're Rembrandt. They're high end. They're the highest pigment you can get. And yet they're about $11 for a 5-stick color family. And the first week we launched 3 sets, and we did a buy 2, get 1 free in the I Want It All. Week 2, we launched 3 more sets, and with a buy 2, get 1 free in our I Want It All. And then this week I'm launching another 3 sets with the same format. If you do the I Want It All, you're going to pay for 2, but you're going to get 3 sets. So instead of $33 for 15 sticks of soft pastel, you're going to pay about $22 for 15 sticks of soft pastels. And the way they are used, all the different opportunities you have with them. When I used them with a baby wipe, it was like, holy smokes, artichokes. Today we're doing something dramatically different. We're going to take that watercolor, Van Gogh watercolor, and we're going to take the Rembrandt soft pastels and we're going to mix them together. So there isn't going to be this fabulous make at the end that I have for you. This truly is a class on the soft pastels, and you may want to take notes. You may find that this resonates with you. You're like, I had no idea, but now that I know, oh my gosh, my brain is going like this. So I'm going to tilt down. I'm going to get started. I'm going to show you the 3 sets that we have for you this week, and next week I think I have 3 more sets for you, and none of the colors are duplicated. So I'm going to show you the 3 sets of soft pastels that we have, and then we're going to start to play. And again, there's not going to be any finished product. There's not going to be a beautiful look, see what I made, because I think this is something that we need to wrap our head around. I sure did. And so I'm just going to work with the product. Work with the product. And maybe later maybe next week I'll make something beautiful with it. But today I really want you to learn this technique. It is an important thing to know. If you have watercolor paints, whether they be Van Gogh watercolor paints or not, and you have soft pastels, whether they be Rembrandt or not. Now, I can't speak to how well the technique will work using maybe a student grade or a lesser grade product, but if you own it, try it. However, I would not pass up the deal on the soft pastels. I'm just saying. All right, so I'm going to tilt on down. We're going to get started for today. It's me, Stacey. Hey, everybody. I hope you enjoy this class. I really do, because I think this class is an important class for everybody. All right, down we go. And I'm going to zoom on in. So I am my own camera person. And I think we're okay. All right, so the 3 sets that I have for you this week to complement what we've already, that way. Let me just get all in the right order. So we've got our deep violets. See, and they retail for $10.95. We have our deep violets. We have our rich oranges. And we have our deep blues. So these are the 3 sets that we are launching this week to go with the original sets, which were, the week 1 was lush greens, cool reds, and warm yellows. That was week 1. And they're still available, and you can still buy 2, get 1 free. You'll buy, it's like paying for 2 of these and getting this one for free. And then week 2, we did rose violets. We did cool greens, which are more like beautiful teals. And we did cool yellows. And again, same deal, buy 2, get 1 free. So here's what we've got for you this week. And I'm gonna go right into playing with the Van Gogh watercolors. So the sets that I've chosen for today is, I started with the basic set. And if you go back to the watercolors, this is the very first set that we used. So I chose our basic colors set. And it's got your oranges and your reds and your blues and your greens and your yellows. It's got a white, which is what you would use to tint or to make opaque. I'm sorry. Your white is what we use to make all of these colors opaque. You don't, how do I say this? So to lighten your colors in watercolor, you add water. To darken your colors, you have less water. To make your color opaque and change the opacity, look at, I said opacity. I said it, you use your white. And that's different than perhaps your Amsterdam acrylic paints, where you use your white and your black to tint and shade. Those two are used all the time with acrylic paints, where with watercolor, not so much. So we learned how using our white, we are able to make all of these colors not as transparent, more opaque, because really watercolor is, everybody wants it to be transparent. You want it to lay down and have that beautiful luminosity coming through it. You want it to be able to dry and then lay down another color and let it dry and lay down another color. So most of Van Gogh's watercolor pans or colors or tubes are transparent with a very high light fast to them. Now, light fast is how long a product or a medium can be in front of light before it starts to fade. And our watercolors are usually at an excellent or an exceptional light fastness. So they can be a really nice light fast is up to, is 25 years, but quite a few of them are up to 100 years. And that's an important thing to know as well. But we're going to take these colors, because I wanted to keep to the basic colors. Because if you had to, so my favorite set, if you had to have any set, it would be this one. This is the metallics and the interference colors. But if you're only going to have one set of watercolor, then this might be, I don't know, this is really hard to get away from, I'm going to tell you. But if you're going to have one set that's not metallics or interference colors, this may be the set, because when you see what I do with them, with the different pastels, soft pastels, it is just mind-boggling, because the options that you have now, everything changes. Everything changes about the way you look at things. So I'm going to get some of these a little wet. I think I'm going to work with the orange today. So I'm going to make these bloom on up, and I think I'm going to work with my yellow and my blue. And the pans come out. They absolutely come out. And underneath I have put the little piece that I pulled off, so I know the colors that I am using. If I ever need to replace just one pan, yes, you can order just one pan, absolutely. So I'm also going to be working with, we're going to start on mixed media paper. So this is Van Gogh mixed media paper. It's a hybrid. It's not a watercolor paper, but it's not a marker paper either. I'm going to pull out just a few sticks. And I'm using slightly bigger paper than I normally do, because I'm going to be using my half sticks of my pastels. Now, it is perforated, so there is a perforation here, so you can take and get rid of your, don't want to get that in there. You can get rid of your little binding area without compromising the size of the paper. So sometimes you're getting paper that says 9 by 12, but by the time you trim off whatever you need, it's no longer 9 by 12. This actually is. Okay, so I'm a girl who has little patience. You all can perforate. I'm just going to cut right down the side. And then I'm going to cut these in half. And that's the size we're going to use today. Now, are they exactly in half? No, they're not, and I'm okay with that. So why do you need better paper? Well, better paper allows the mediums that you're using to behave the way they're supposed to. Better paper has sizing in it. And I know I talk about this a lot, but I do think it's super important, especially if you're joining me for the first time. Sizing is not the size of the paper. I mean, in paper crafting, to us, sizing would be 5 by 7 or 12 by 12. Sizing in fine art is how long it takes liquid to absorb into the paper. So the better the sizing in the paper, the more control over the absorption rate of liquid. Sizing is something that is added to the paper in the pulp before it's made, or perhaps it's layered on top of the paper. And so again, the more sizing your paper has, the longer it takes for liquids to absorb into the paper, giving you more time to move and to play with it. So this isn't a watercolor paper. This is a mixed media paper, which allows you to use watercolor on it because it has sizing in it, and the absorption rate isn't one of, have you ever put water on a piece of paper and it goes, that means your paper has no sizing at all. Zero, none. This has got sizing with the smoothness that you may want for markers, like the Ecoline markers, or if you're using pastels. This is like your all-purpose paper, kind of like 110-pound white cardstock. You can use it for anything. Can you use watercolor paper? Absolutely. But for today, we're gonna play with the mixed media paper by Van Gogh, and I am using the larger size. So I'm gonna take, and I know I'm going to need 5. 1, 2, I didn't leave myself much of one at the end, so I think I will take these over. Now, I've swatched out the pastels last week. I showed you how we swatched them and how I used a stubby to blend them in, so I didn't need a fixative. I showed you how I used a baby wipe or a paintbrush to paint with them. But today we're doing something completely different. Well, it's still not great, but it'll do, right? Today we're going to do something completely different. We're going to combine our watercolor and our soft pastel to make different colors. We're going to mix these together and use them to make entirely new colors. And because the soft pastel is basically holding a pigment stick in your hand, when you apply the watercolor, the binder that's in the watercolor, it mixes in with the soft pastel and you make magic. So if you've got one set of watercolors, but you have lots of sets of the soft pastels, your color palette has now just become extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. All right. Oh, you know what? I might do, gosh, I hate to make them smaller, but I might run a solid color across the top just so you see it. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a solid color across the top so we have a baseline color to go from, and then we're going to mix our colors and work our way down. So let's start with the violets. And the color I'm going to work with the violets is going to be, how about we play with our orange? You're like, orange and purple? Yeah, why not? Let's see what happens. I want to make sure I've got this in here so you all can see it. I can't tell, but we'll just do our best. All right, so I've got my paintbrush, and I'm using a fusion brush from Yasutomo. It's a beautiful watercolor brush, and I don't use this with acrylics, not ever, ever, ever. In fact, maybe I move this way, and I move this way, and that way. What do we think? Is that okay? So I'm going to take my orange, and I've already got it kind of blooming. So I'm going to pick some up, and I'm going to put it in my little well, and I'm going to add some water. Now when I pick up my paint, I'm not scooping it out. I'm not scooping it out. I'm dabbing in, and I'm moving over, and I can add water if I want it thinner and a little bit more transparent. I add water if I want it a little thicker, a little more concentrated in its color. I add less water. So I want to just do a control color up here so you can see. Okay, it's a beautiful shade. It's absolutely gorgeous. And if I use less water, I will get lighter shades, and or darker shades, and if I use more water, I will lighten it up. But I want to change the color entirely. I want to change the tone behind it. And I can do this with any of my pastels. In fact, what I do with my violets would look incredibly different from what I do with my blues. It is amazing, even if I use the exact same orange. So I'm going to take my violet, and I'm just going to run, I'm using on the edge, I'm just going to run some violet right there. I started with the softest color. And now I'm going to go in, and I'm going to pick up some of my orange. And I'm going to go right over the top. And I am changing that shade of orange. I didn't buy an additional orange. I'm changing it by mixing it with the pigment that comes in my soft pastels. Pick up a darker. And I'm just laying my color down. Pick up my orange and blend my colors together. Pick up my next color. Going right down the color family of I'm just going straight down the color family. And I'm changing my colors. Add more water, go in. So I've got my water here, I've got my little well here. Add a little bit more water. Go with my next darkest color, so I've only got 2 left. Pick up my color. And mix it in. And then my darkest color. A little more orange, a little bit more water. And what I started with was that pure shade of orange. But what I finished with, just by using my pastels, look at all the variations I was able to make. Now, I didn't have to sit there and try to figure out blends, and I just played. But here's our mass tone. That means the color right out of it, the tube. That's it. There's our mass. But here I was able to add each of the purples to literally change the color of my orange. Now I could do that with the blues too. Every single set of pastels will change every single color here to something different. I could use the blues with my oranges and I would get something completely different. Let's do the blues with the oranges real quick. And then I think I'm going to use we'll do the blues with the oranges, and then I'm going to do the reverse, and we'll see what we get. So, budget-minded, you can have a lovely set of watercolors and then supplement it with your pastels to be able to make all your different colors. It really is simply incredible. But they're not different products entirely. They're kissing cousins. They're close because they both are highly pigmented. So let's go ahead and let me grab my paper. And again, we'll start with a top, and then I need 5. It's about taking quality product and making even more out of it. I can move these down. It's about utilizing what you have and adding a few of what you might need. Without necessarily breaking the budget. So fine art products are not as innovative in the industry as crafting products are. Crafting products are always coming up with new tools and new ways of doing something. Fine art product is more stable. These are the same pigments. The soft pastels are made the exact same way as they were in the 15th century. There hasn't been any crazy new innovation on how to manufacture the soft pastel. for centuries. Because what works, works. So let's take and let's do my base color again. A little more orange dipped in there. Beautiful color. Beautiful watercolor. But now let's take the blues. Little bit more water in here. Oh, Stacey, don't do that. I dipped it in my green. Oh, no, don't do that. That would not be good. I dipped my paintbrush in green. Okay, so now we're mixing with blue. And then let's go my next blue. And let's go my next blue. Now these are colors you may never use in your palette. But isn't it nice to know that if you wanted to, you could? I think for many of us, it's much easier to take a pastel and mix it in than try to figure out how to mix the actual paints, the watercolors together. And then my next one. Maybe a little bit more orange. Put maybe a little more orange on this one. And then my last. I feel like I didn't get enough pastel on this one. So will you mix your orange with your blues? I don't know. But the idea is that you can. And it tends to make the paint a little bit more opaque. It changes the opacity. And I said it again, I've been practicing. But look at what you can do with pastels. So here we had it with the purples and the orange. Here we have it purple, blue. Now you have all of these colors to play with if you only have these two sets of pastels. But if you've got more sets, then you've got more colors to play with. I would, me being me, I would sit and I would literally, if I had, I don't know, these three sets, I would go through, and I had this set here, I would go through and I would swatch everything out every color with every color so I can see what I have, my available options are. It really is amazing. But let's change. Let's get off the orange for a little bit. Let me clean my brush. And maybe we do the orange pastels with the blue paint. So let's add in oh, I'm way too small. Someday I'm gonna get it right. I think I can go that big. And then that big. Okay, that seems pretty good. So my maker's tape from Sizzix, and it's so affordable. Absolutely, it just does the job. And this time I'm gonna use my, I think it's Ultramarine Deep is where I'm gonna go. So let's grab some Ultramarine Deep. I think that's the color that I'm grabbing. And lift some up. Put it in my palette, add some water. And then these colors would look different on watercolor paper. The paper will have a change in color. And let's go our control color. Right there, there's our control color. Now let's take our lightest shade and these are the rich oranges. And make sure I've got enough water in there. And of course, you can change the color and the shade based off of how much water you've got in your paint. So now I've mixed with my lightest orange. Let's go a little darker. And now let's go a little bit darker. And now a little bit darker. A little more water. Remember, we started with this color up here. And then our darkest color. So we took our oranges, we mixed it into our blues, and again, these might not be colors you might use, I don't know. But look at the different shades I'm able to achieve. Just by playing with a pastel and a watercolor. We started here. We ended here. We started here, right here, this one right there. And as we went down, look at the difference. But none of these colors are represented here. And these colors aren't represented here. Look at how beautiful they can be. They're just gorgeous. And they change the watercolor to something a little bit more opaque. Now let's take and let's do, because I want to do, we did the purples and we did the oranges. No, we did the blues. Okay, we did the orange pastels and the purple pastels. Yes, we haven't used the blue pastels, right? My brain. Well, we did. Well, we're going to do them again. The whole idea of how many combinations you can make was just wow. So this time I'm going to use yellow paint. We'll use the yellow and the blues. Okay, so let me clean my brush. And let's play with some yellow. So let me get my yellow bloomed up a little bit. And let's get a control color at the top. So we know what we've started with. And then let's take our lightest blue. And mix them together. And let's take our next color. And our yellow. And our next blue. And our yellow. And our next blue. I think I need to shave this one a little bit. There we go. And our yellow. And then our last one. And our yellow. Now again, if I put down more pastel, my colors would change. Or if I added more water to my watercolor, my colors would change. But look at what we did with our pastel and our paint. It really is magic because it leaves you the opportunity to create with nothing's going to rub off. Nope, it's not going to get all over your hands. Nope. Look at the combinations that you can do. And I've only used the 3 pastels that we had for this week. And I haven't used all the different colors here. Now, what happens when you put it on black paper? All right, let me clean my brush and let's move on to black paper. So let's grab this. I am going to use watercolor paper for because I do not have a mixed media black. I mean, these are beautiful. I don't know. These knock my socks off. I love them. I love everything that can be done with them. And when I learned that you can mix, it was like, how do you, the color combinations that you can make, my head literally that's why I would have to swatch everything because I'm that girl. I want to see it all. So we'll start with our control color. All right, so we're on black paper, and our control color has always been a watercolor. So when we add a watercolor to black paper, it's pretty much going to dissolve. It's not going to stand out. It's not going to be wahoo kachoo because, of course, watercolors need that lighter color for that luminosity to come through, for that transparency to take hold. So we just did yellow with blue, so that's what we'll continue. So we'll use our yellow watercolor. We'll continue. We'll do that. So now we're doing this one on black. And let's get our control color down. Okay, you can see there's a big difference on the white versus the black. Now let's add our lightest blue right onto the black. Okay, let's leave it and see what happens. Let's go into our next blue. Clean my brush, dab in for some yellow, add a little water. Okay, let's go into our next blue. Man, that looks so gorgeous on this black. Oh my gosh. Yum. I want to be careful that I don't tap in. And then our next. And a little bit more yellow. A little bit more water. And then our last color. The darker my pastel gets, the more it looks almost like the control color. The lighter my pastel is, the more opaque it becomes. So on black, here's my control color. See at the bottom, it's almost gone because I used that super dark. But by mixing it with some of my lighter color pastels, I'm actually able to make a usable paint that my watercolor won't do it on its own. It needs to add something to it, but if I add white to this, then I'm making it opaque and I'm not toning it or shading it, or you're tinting it, you're not shading it. But if I add my pastels, look at what I'm able to create. Right? Let's do our oranges. Let's do our purples. Our purple with our orange watercolor. So, had you ever thought to mix and match? This may be the first time that, since I've started doing these in the studios, that you've seen product like this. But the sets, if you have a good foundational set, and then you add in the pastels, you've really created opportunity to make more than what you had by mixing the two. This is great all it's on its own, and you can mix these colors to make beautiful colors. This is great all on its own, and you can mix these colors and you can paint with these colors and you can use them dry, you can use them with a baby wipe. But when you mix the two together, you've made the sum is even greater. The sum is more than the whole. And it didn't have to cost an arm and a leg. And because they're fine art, the quality is so high. The level of pigment is so high. The standard is so high because artists require it. So I'm going to use my orange. I'm going to go back to my orange because I'm going to use my purple. And I want to do apples to apples for you. So I've got some orange in there. I'm tapping in, not digging out. let's get my control color. So you can see that water just sitting on top of this. That's because this has more sizing in it. The paper is got more sizing built into it so that it gives you a longer time for that water absorption. And then my purples. Let's take my lightest purple. And my orange. And let's take my next purple. And my orange. And let's take my next purple. And my orange. And my next purple. And my orange. And finally, my last. So as I get darker, the contrast is substantially less because it's almost like I'm working on black paper again. But as I dry towards the top, it's got a completely different look and feel. And as it's drying, you can see. And not completely dry yet, still a little wet in places, but you can see what's happened. Look at these now that these are completely dry. On black paper, so that you can use black paper. They're beautiful, right? So these need to completely dry, and that's going to take a little time because it's on watercolor paper. But then what happens if we want to use the metallics? Can we use the metallics? Well, let's play with them, and I'm going to change my brushes on just so I have a clean brush for the metallics. So this is my favorite set, and we'll have it on sale for you. We'll put both of these in this week's In the Studio with Stacey. This is my favorite set. The metallics are opaque, so we're fairly opaque, almost entirely opaque, which means on black paper they are absolutely gorgeous. It's just the absolute reverse. Let me grab a piece of black paper where the transparent watercolors are amazing on your lighter color papers. Your metallics are amazing on your darker colored papers. So let's get some of these going. And so I just want to paint some of these for you. I won't do all of them, but I want you to see what they look like on black paper. Nice clean brush, metallics. Bless you. I'm not sure who that was. I don't know if you guys heard that. Like I said, if you saw my studio, you'd be like, really? That's her studio? Trust me, if you saw it, you would not believe it. It's not its own room. It's in the middle of our back warehouse. Okay, so let's just brush on some color so you can see how beautiful they are on black. And you have to give them time to dry. If you're not going to give them time to dry for that color to come up and show itself, if you look at it and you go, oh, that's not nearly the color I was hoping for, you need to let it dry. So there's two. So I just want to add a little bit more water, just so you can see what they look like on black by themselves, which is pretty darn spectacular. And I think I'll clean that one out. And that one out. And a little here. And then the last one I'll do is this one. So there's actually 7 metallics, but I did 6 for you. So stellar on the black. Beautiful. But when we put them on white, what do we get? When we put them on white, it's a slightly different look. Look at me go. Woohoo, ka-choo for me. Look at me go. I got that one done quick. So I'm going to bring my metallics back over, and I started with the lightest. Started with my lightest gold. And then I dropped into a darker gold, just so I do them in order. That way, apples to apples. I think it's only fair. I can't show you just the best combinations because you got to see apples to apples. Okay, then I went in here. And then I went champagne. Or I guess that's more bronze. And then I went champagne. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I went my dark. There we go. And last but not least, I did almost, it's like a pearlized color. Okay, so here we have on white. That way you have apples to apples. Pretty, but on the black, amazing. And that's what the metallics were really made for. Amazing on the black. Okay on the white, but what if we add in, oh, look at these. Oh, look at these. Okay, these are coming out gorgeous. Look at that color. Oh my gosh. Okay, yum. Okay, now that they're dried, holy smokes artichokes, that's beautiful. Okay, but we'll get back to the metallic, Stacey. I know. Focus. I'm trying. It's hard. I am so you, only I'm here. I get so excited and so enamored with everything, all the different color combinations and what can be done, that I lose focus. I should have. Wet paper. So what if we use the metallics on white? Will that make any difference at all? Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. And what color pastel do we want to use? And how about we choose kind of the pearly color? So I'll do my control color across the top, and then we'll start adding in So my control color across the top, which is very pearly, so it's almost like it's not there. But then let's start with our light blue. And then let's add, I'm dipping, I'm not scooping. Okay. And then let's add our next blue. Dipping, not scooping. And our next blue. So I'm cleaning my brush out of each one because my blues are they're getting darker and darker as I go. And then my last. So imagine doing this with all the different colors of the metallics. So I started with a pearl, and now I've added pearl to every one of my colors. They all have a pearlescent, luminescent finish to them. All of them have this beautiful pearlescent, luminescent finish to them. Let's see, I've got a piece of watercolor. We'll just use watercolor paper for this one real quick. Clean my brush. And let's do a gold. So let's get a control color. Perfect. Our lightest blue, just to keep apples to apples. our next blue. Just to keep apples to apples. Ooh, Stacey. I touched it with my rag. Okay, my next blue. This is gorgeous blue. This whole blue set is amazing. The purple set is amazing. And the nice thing is, if you were thinking about getting the blue and the purple, just do the I Want It All, because then you get the orange for free. And my next blue. And look at how it changes those colors. And my last blue. Now I'm just going to pull it all, get all the leftover paint out of here. And have at it. So while we did this one with the pearlescent, and now every one of them got this beautiful pearlescent sheen to it. Beautiful. You made your own pearlized paper or paint. Now all of these, as they dry, are going to have this subtle gold undertone. It's going to be a very subtle, beautiful gold undertone, and you have to give it time to dry. If you are looking at it going, oh, that's not what I thought, step away for a few minutes and give it the opportunity to do what it's supposed to do. Dry. And because I'm on watercolor paper with this one, it's going to take even just a little bit longer to dry because it has more sizing in it. But it's like there's these beautiful little flecks of gold running through everything. But I didn't use blue paint. I used an $11 set of pastels to get this. I used an $11 set of pastels to get this. It is amazing what you can do. So there are the colors all dried on white versus on black. Here we've got our, look at that color. This is our watercolor and our pastels together on black. And then we did all of these. We started, here's our control color, and then we kept adding. We added our blue pastels to this one, and we added our purple pastels to our orange. And we added our orange pastels to our purple. And this one is the blue pastels to our oranges. Why not have all of these colors available to you? I think so. And if we're on a crafty budget, which I don't know who isn't on a crafty budget, then the basic set of colors gives you all of your primaries, and then you go in and make it with you change your colors up by adding your pastels. And the minute you combine these two, no adhesive or fixative needed. No. Gosh, it's so pretty. It's got this beautiful luminescence. I don't know if my camera can pick it up, but it's got this beautiful shimmer of luminescence, but it's not paint. It's a pastel with a watercolor over the top of it. Oh, and see, as these dry, the flecks of that gold starting to come up. So, something new, something I had no idea about. Love the pastels. I have to have the pastels in my room all the time because I can just go to them and do so much with them, along with the watercolors. And again, this is my most favorite set. I just, if there's one set, this is amazing because you can take this and work with this. But if you're on a crafty budget, then get one of the primary sets of the watercolors because then it's all up to you. The world is your oyster. I could take this and mix this with this one and the purples with this yellow and then the purples with orange and the purples with red and the purples with blue and the purples with the lighter blue and the purples with the green and the purples with the brown and the purples with the tan and the purples kind of with the teal and the purples with the black to make all those different colors. And that's just with one set of pastels. So I know I didn't make anything, but I think when you see this, it opens your eyes to what more can be done when you're working with fine product, great product. Will all pastels behave like this? No, because they're not all this. This is the highest quality you can get. This is it. This is as high as it goes. These pastels are magnificent. And yet they're affordable. So these are now the sets that we have online. Next week we launch 3 more sets. I hope you felt that it was time well worth it. That by me not making something but explaining something really cements it for you. And maybe this is like, nope, I'm not into this at all. That's okay too. There's something for everybody out there. We'll do, both of these will go online on sale. And I'll do my fusion brushes. Zoop, I'll do both sets, the rounds and the flats. And we'll do the different papers. It'll all be in the studio with Stacey. I'll make sure I put in the maker's tape, the making tape from Sizzix. But I hope that you felt the time was worth it. I know it was me just swatching. I know. I get it. But sometimes seeing it is more important than making something with it. You all are going to do beautiful things. I need you to see what can be done, what could be done once they're in your hands. And then you let your imagination take over. I literally will swatch out every single thing because I need to see what I can have. So this was this week's In the Studio with Stacey. Next week I am back again with the pastels, doing something completely different, totally different than what we did today. And maybe today spoke to you and you're like, oh, but next week you're like, meh. Or maybe today you went, nah, but next week you're like, oh, you never know. By featuring one product for a full month of classes, this idea or this idea or this idea, knowing that you can do it all is always a benefit. So I'm Stacey. I am a licensed designer for Sizzix and Jacquard and Couture Creations and a brand ambassador for Royal Talens and the owner of Scrapbooking Made Simple. The next time I see you will be Thursday for our New For You event, where we bring you the latest and greatest from your favorite manufacturers. And then the next In the Studio with Stacey, next Tuesday, same time, same place, same bat channel, still working with pastels, but in a whole different way. All right, you guys, thanks for being here today. Much love, big hugs. Thanks for understanding that it's just important that you see. You do, let me show you how. Okay? Bye, everybody. Oh, Scrapbooking Made Simple, scrapbookingmadesimple.com. You can visit our retail store or shop online, or more importantly, visit your local art store. Visit an art store, walk in, say, show me your soft pastels, and go play. All right, you guys, bye everybody.